When you think back to 2005, we had a very simple vision of someday being able to fly our aircraft with something other than a fossil-based fuel. And from that point forward, move ahead several years, we've made a lot of progress, right? 1,500 flights around the world have actually flown on aviation, sustainable biofuel. And that is significant. If you think about the safety concerns that our industry inherently has, and having the ability from an innovation perspective to replicate the molecules that are needed to fly these aircraft with the carbon intensity that's needed with a plant-based fuel or a oil waste product essentially, and there's many other varieties that are currently in development, is a significant accomplishment. We've come a very, very long way, and we have a few people here in the audience that were part of this activity, but the U.S. Navy demonstrated its Great Green Fleet in the Pacific Ocean almost a year and a half ago at this point. I was there on the aircraft carrier. Some other folks that were here were also there. But we were able to see in action all the military aircraft and the military vessels all operating on biofuel, from helicopters to jet aircraft to the passenger carriers that ferried us onto the aircraft carrier. Same thing from a commercial aviation perspective. We've actually seen, I flew on the first commercial revenue flight that United flew here in the United States from Houston to Chicago in 2011. We've come a very long way to get to a place where we feel comfortable enough and safe enough to fly our passengers, that the aircraft will have no mechanical issues whatsoever. These are purely drop-in fuels. There's been a lot of innovation that's gone into this and a lot of partnership. Boeing and United have worked together over the last almost year and a half or two on an initiative called the Midwest Aviation Sustainable Biofuels Initiative. We brought together stakeholders from across the entire value chain, from the farmers to the investors, the venture capitalists and the private equity guys, to the innovators and the technology guys and the refiners and big oil, to really sort out how do we get to commercial scale and what is it that we need to do differently and how do we actually continue to motivate the industry. So I guess from my perspective, we've done yeoman's work in sort of getting to this point. I mentioned earlier United's announcement earlier this June around commercial scale biofuel for our flights out of Los Angeles. That is a significant milestone. We have commercial scale and competitively priced fuel that's made from an oil that's not crude oil, but is a crop oil that's made sustainably, being produced into jet fuel. So that is something that I think we collectively are all looking forward to seeing happen on a day-to-day basis. And there's a lot of excitement, I think, around this. But we're also very realistic. It's going to take a lot of time to create an additional supply of fuel made from these sources. And we want to be very careful in terms of how we go about it. The sustainable portion of that is extremely important, and we're very cognizant of that, which is why we involve all the players across the value chain, including the environmental NGOs in the process. We want to make sure that these fuels that are being produced sustainably without any harmful impacts on the communities that are also critically important to us.